As my last public duty as the wife of General Washington, I felt it so necessary to speak of the way in which he departed this earthly plane, for I feel there is a lesson for his countrymen in the brave way in which he has just met his final day. All of our lives, you see, General Washington and I have done our duty, both in a public way for our country and in a private way for our families. We were brought up to this, that duty always must come first, and so I have gathered my strength to speak of it. We had just returned home so recently from the long years of the presidency that wore on him so greatly. He had refused to be our king, had wanted nothing more than to be at our beloved Mount Vernon. But the country had other ideas and called him back to service at an age when most are enjoying their retirement. I worried over his health. He and I have been together for 40 years now, since we were young, and I was looking out for him as ever he has looked out for me. If the country had had its way, he would still be serving as its president. Yes, he would be the leader that would be different from all before. No king, but a president who served his people. And he felt it so important that he stepped down so that the country could have what he called an orderly transition take place. And so it did, only a little over a year ago. Back home we came with his greatest wish that he would mind but his own vine and fig tree, that he would walk, as he wrote, but a solitary path here at home, and here, envious of none, he would find peace and contentment. How I wish he could have had those many years ahead. Long ago, with the first of our many losses, I learned that divine providence is very wise and very merciful and kind to us mortals, for it always hides the future from us. If we look at our life as a long journey, it's very good that we do not know all of the many obstacles that will lie in our path, the trials we would pass through. We would be faint-hearted sojourners, and we never knew when we began 40 years ago what would be our future, our service to our country. The long years of the war, and then so little time at home before the presidency. He had ridden out just the other day, as he always did, had recovered much of his strength since coming back home. It was a raw day, and I wished that he hadn't stayed out so long, and I worried that evening when he showed a soreness of his throat that he should take care. "No," he said, "I never take anything for a cold. Let it go as it's come." But in the night he awakened very much in distress. He would not let me get up and quit our bed because of the cold, as I had been ill. How like him, always to think of me first. He waited until light to send for the doctors. Later on, during his struggle for life, he confessed that he knew pretty much all along that it would be no use, but he had to let the doctors try their way. And with patience and fortitude, during a time of such terrible distress, he let all be tried that could. I wish to tell all also that the general died in full command of his senses, completely aware of everything that was occurring, thoughtful of others. "Sit down, Christopher," he said to his servant. "You've been standing too long." Always thoughtful and mindful of what lay ahead. He and I are old now, and we knew that our time was not without limits. The general once said, "Death is a debt we all must pay. 'Tis that distant country from which no traveler ever returns." But this had come upon him so suddenly. It was a struggle, and I tried what I could with medicines I knew of as well. But when he asked that I go below to his study to retrieve his wills, I knew then that he knew the end was near, and he trusted only me to bring those vital documents. He instructed me which will was to be burned, which was to be saved. He was feeling his own pulse, trying to reassure everyone. At one moment, I remember, he said, "I die hard, but I am not afraid to go." And finally, when the last breath was upon him, he merely uttered the words, "'Tis well." When I knew that his struggle was ended, I realized that in many ways mine was as well. Having lost so many, all 4 of my children, almost all of my family, I uttered the same, "'Tis well. I have no more trials to pass through. I shall soon follow." All during the war, I waited to have word from him that it was time for me to come to the camps, to care for our soldiers. I made those long journeys. How eagerly and impatiently I awaited word that it was time to join him. And so I think it will be now. I will wait a little impatiently to join him at that final headquarters. I was recalling how strong, how much he showed us what strength, modesty, and character can be during the war. And I remember, as I was caring for one young soldier, he told me about his first engagement in battle, how he was turning cowardly, so frightful, when suddenly he heard the sound of General Washington's horse riding up from behind him, riding ahead, as he always led from ahead into every battle. And the young soldier said to me, "I shall never forget the sight of him. There were 1,000 deaths awaiting him, but yet he rode on bravely to show us the way." And I believe that is as it is now. The general has gone on to show us the way. He died as he lived, and with such courage. I wanted it to be known so that we might take courage from him.